This is, I'm sat in the chair that I sit in when the sun is setting. So the sun sets in the summer over here and in the winter over there somewhere. If I'm building something, I build it here, and you know, there's probably all sorts of screws and stuff scattered around here. But yeah, it's planted up with trees that continue the pattern that we had. So there's a borage here, and hidden behind the borage is the best of the this year's cuttings of figs. This is doing super well. Probably because that tank's been there quite some time and all the water's been hitting the side of it. And yeah, so that's where the water comes across from the pond and goes round and down into that pond. And on the right here, we've got some pretty flowers. And in front of that, this is an almond that is growing from seed this year, so we're already at about a foot tall. I think it's a different variety of almond than the ones down in the river. I think the other seeds are from a variety of places, but definitely some of them are from owl's trees, which are quite small, very pretty, with a sort of silvery bark. And then these ones had much darker bark. They were, I mean, just gigantic compared to owl's trees, but I expect they're a different cultivar. And I hope they become gigantic. We'll see. Anyway, doing all right. They just seem a lot taller and thinner, but sort of more aggressive growers than the other ones. There's another one. You see, like, stood up real tall and thin. There's some of these oaks, like, they're everywhere. Okay, let's zigzag through it. We've got an oak here, and then there's a line of oaks all through here, but they're all very small. There you go. You know, they'll take 20 years to be doing anything significant, but again, I don't water these. This is an almond that I grew in a pot, and look at it, in comparison to the others. So it was in the pot too long, and then I planted it out. It just looks so much less happy than the ones that I got in the ground much sooner, or even started in the ground. So, yeah. Make what you will of that. I mean, they've each got different locations, so you can't really read too much into it. Al's donated chili pepper, really fantastic chilies. Okay, so the last video found the limits of my phone storage. I think we were talking about that chili and that almond. And just to finish a little tour of this area where lots is going on, we've got some Neshbra, I think it's Neshbra in these pots, waiting for them to come up. From fruit I just recently ate, and this is a fig from owl's trees, cutting from one of its suckers sort of things, and this went in last year with 3 others, and I wasn't quite as on it with timing these things, and it went in a bit late and they didn't get as established, but this one managed to push through my inexperience and is growing super well. I'm just holding those top bits apart because it's got like a triple aspect crown on it, and I'd like one to go east and one to go west and one to go straight up, so I'm just having a little experiment with that, encouraging it to do that. But it's just, yeah, I'm expecting it to get quite a lot bigger this year because it's just growing really happily. Fan does very well to block the wind here. And I did a little bit of work just to make this whole area a bit flat for people come round, you know, when we're outside of crazy lockdown times. This is a nice place to have people for tea and food. When I had all my pots, they were all laid out here. I think I've got a nice picture of that somewhere that I can put up. And yeah, we're down to just a handful of pomegranates and then a random few pots. There's some fun stuff I did with this van. Poppy, the potting shed, courtesy of Mark, a van with a cracked gearbox, but it still runs. And it looked really amazing for a little while last year. I got it all ready for a friend to stay in, and then it's all gone to, turned into a work site. So I mounted the seat belts here and put some eucalyptus here. I can stretch this, tie them onto there, and then I have this awning thing. I'm going to have to replace it now because I decided to try and collect water into a bin during the rain. It worked really well and promptly burst because it couldn't get out quick enough. So I've broken that, but it makes a nice sun cover in the summer. This is a crazy construction that I've made. And it is, you can see the sort of curve, smooth curve there at the top of the screen. That shows you that it's made from the metal umbrella frames for those beach things. Oh, hang on. The phone appears to have frozen. No, it's fine. Yeah, so they were by the bin, and when the van was still running around on the road, I picked a butt from beside the bin and strapped it together into this crazy sunshade thing. It works really well, and it stops the wind really well in the gap. Where these stripped out chairs are, there's some of the grapes that I put in too late. I think this one is potentially alive. Yeah, there's hints on green on a stick that you probably can't pick out from there, but either end of that, we've got some grapes growing. We've got a bit of a vegetable patch going here. There are some trees hidden in it. It was a big row of fava beans and these cabbage, and some lin and random stuff like that. This is lin. I was just using the seed in the bread that I was making, and I chucked some out and it grew no problem. So I've got my own lin seed seeded on the land now. This is a physalis. This is the first one that I've got to grow, which is really exciting, and tucked in somewhere around it, there it is one of the guavas that's doing quite well. I remember that the other one had its leaves eaten, glued together and eaten, so that one's looking happy. And there's some pomegranates hidden in here to be another hedgerow. Of course there's pomegranates. There's one there hidden in under some of the cabbage. And then at the end, a bit of like a random arrangement as a walnut and a clementine. They were in a big pot together with loads of walnuts. Two of them survived and this one was doing well, so I just clipped the other one off, and then at some point that came up as well. I don't remember planting it anyway. They're growing together happily now. Some more vegetables here, just getting started really. Some bell peppers, some onion, there's some garlics, there's some more asparagus that I put straight into the ground to see how that goes. It's doing pretty well. And we've got some neshperas starting from seed in the ground. There's a bunch of them. I'll go through them quickly. There's one here. There's one here. There you go. He's doing really well, actually. He's a little bit. You know, they've probably only been growing for a few weeks, so that's pretty good. And then, yeah, there's a few here that started a touch later, but seem to be catching up. Okay. One, ooh, get out of the way, plants. One there as well. And then we got some more of these real stretchy almond trees. This one's ridiculous. Like, again, that's like a, I don't know, 3-month-old thing. Just tall and skinny. Some compost, kind of, heaps, wood chip compost and a bit of manure, and there's some self-seeded tomatoes and stuff like that going on, fava beans, another pistachio, an old compost. This is where I had an arrangement to catch all the chipper refuse, but I've pretty much cleared out my chipper pile. Like, there's that lot left. I'm just chucking stuff around as I clear bits of ground without chipping it at the moment. But this whole area here was covered in it, and then, well, you can see the ground. That whole area there was covered in it. I did a big chip job, and I've only just run out of all of that. So I'll start generating another pile as I clear the next bit of road and stuff. Potato doing well. And yeah, and then we're into the bottom bit of the garden that I already did. So that's pretty much a whole tour of the garden. This bottom bit will kind of jar with the rest of it because it's a completely different day. Another pomegranate, of course, there. Another neshpera there. And I did the ones up by the seats earlier. Alright, maybe I'll do another bit just to finish this off. Okay, so yeah. There's all the pines and everything up there. The main windbreak with the olive at the end of the top part of the river walk, and then that other walk next to the river just behind that. And then you've got the figs and the Cynish mole, and then yeah, that pond and the trees all around that, and the little sort of garden area by the potting shed. Then this middle chunk. So I've done stuff up to this bush and this line into the river, but this middle chunk here, because it was, you know, it's a bit more challenging, the ground, than the river and everything, and I needed to stop the wind, which was just tearing down through the gully. Now it kind of gets kicked up this line of reeds and around the van, fires over the road and hits this gap. It works quite well, actually, you know, till about here it's pretty windless behind these. Not windless, but it's way better. So anyway, yeah, that middle bit of the garden is for autumn into spring next year, and the rest is kind of laid out, and you know, it all looks totally wild now. You'll just have to imagine that in 3 months' time, all of this growth will be sort of down to earth level, and the only green things will be the bushes and the trees and the veggies that I'm watering, and the mastic and stuff that was here already. What else is there to talk about? Oh, you can make out the edge of the garden in terms of where I've cleared the cistus. There's like a walk that does go all the way around here and then down to that there, and then on this side it's up here, and it goes down to there, and there'll be a gate just down there by the van, because you know, this is where the sheep got through, the goats rather, and ate everything that one time, and so that's how I've sorted it out. I haven't had any problems since then, and the farmers are quite on it. They've put lots of fencing on that bit there. Okay, I thought we'd finish the tour of the garden from the opposite angle. You can see the double water tanks, which is where I was sat when I started this video, and then I think the order is we walk down here, around here, all the way along the river, up to the edge of the windbreak. Then we came back and we zigzagged, I don't know how the editing will do it, all the way back through the garden, and now I've come up here to finish it off, because it's quite nice to come and sit here, particularly in the morning. It's a really nice overview of what everything looks like. And yeah, just a really exciting time of year to be out here. It all calms down a bit in the summer, but right now it just feels like a tropical paradise or something. Yeah, hope you've enjoyed it. Tour number 1. I'm terrible at taking videos and pictures and all that kind of stuff, so nothing, and now you've got an hour of video to watch. So I hope it's not too tedious listening to me go on in too much detail. And that's where I've kind of got to with stuff that I'm doing, and I'm going all the way, well, you can't really see where I'm going to go to. I've planted a couple of 100 trees so far, and I'll be in the tens of thousands before I'm done here. Alright, stay safe everybody, bye.